Brutal, savage, unexplainable. Across America, a terrifying predator is emerging from the shadows, leaving a trail of mutilated bodies and shattered lives in its wake. Officials call it wild dog attacks. We call bullshit. From the windswept plains of Wyoming to the murky forests of the southeast, something is hunting us. Something massive, cunning, lethal. The Dogman, once dismissed as folklore, this creature, part wolf, part man, is now a flesh and blood nightmare, a chilling reality that's tearing through the fabric of our society. Bodies are being found, mauled beyond recognition, bearing wounds unlike anything inflicted by nature. The FBI is involved, working in the shadows, while local cops are left scrambling, clinging to outdated theories about feral dogs. But the evidence tells a different story. A horrifying story of a predator too intelligent, too brutal for any known animal. And it gets worse. According to our sources, the Dogman isn't just one creature. It's a legion. Cloned and engineered for warfare, these beasts were meant to be weapons, tools of destruction. But some escaped. Some were released. Now they roam our state parks and wilderness areas, honing their deadly skills, practicing for the kill. Not all dogmen are evil, though. Some are natural creatures, curious observers of the human world, driven by instinct rather than malice. They watch us from a distance, their intentions shrouded in mystery. But the ones we're after, they're different. They're the killers, the ones responsible for the brutal attacks that have terrorized communities across the country. We're diving deep into 10 gut-wrenching cases spanning 2 decades. 10 cases that will shatter everything you thought you knew about the food chain. 10 cases that expose a horrifying truth. The Dogman isn't just real, it's hunting us, and you might be next. Like and subscribe to DeadNet Studios now. Stay informed, stay alive, because in this fight for survival, knowledge isn't just power, it's your only defense. In 2005, the tranquil rural landscape of Illinois was marred by the mysterious and brutal attack on teenage Lydia Elaine Chappell, discovered severely injured and suffering from hypothermia in a ditch. Lydia's case initially perplexed authorities, who first suspected a car accident. However, the true nature of her injuries pointed to something far more sinister. Lydia had gone missing from her bed early one morning. Her parents, upon discovering her absence around 6:30 a.m., immediately reported her missing. Just an hour later at 7:30 a.m., she was found in a nearby ditch, barely clinging to life. The scene was disturbing. Lydia was covered in deep gashes and bite marks, her body showing clear signs of a violent struggle. The severity of Lydia's injuries led investigators to first consider a high-speed car accident. However, further examination revealed wounds that were inconsistent with such an incident. The injuries, described as resembling those inflicted by a vicious animal, raised alarming questions. Local authorities quickly shifted their focus to a potential animal attack, suspecting stray dogs. Yet the circumstances surrounding Lydia's attack were highly unusual. There were no witnesses, no sounds of distress, and no stray dogs with evidence linking them to the attack. The isolated location and the nature of the injuries bore a chilling resemblance to other unexplained attacks attributed to the Dogman. Lydia's clothing was torn, a common trait in attacks involving this cryptid, adding to the eerie parallels. Authorities were left with more questions than answers. How did Lydia end up in the ditch, and why were her injuries so severe? If dogs were responsible, why was there no concrete evidence of their presence? The involvement of local law enforcement and the absence of a definitive cause of the injuries deepened the mystery. Lydia Elaine Chappell's attack stands as a harrowing reminder of the potential dangers lurking in rural America. The brutal nature of her injuries, the swift and violent attack, and the lack of concrete evidence all point to the terrifying possibility of the Dogman's involvement. In April 2007, a terrifying series of events unfolded in Middletown, New Jersey, involving a mysterious animal attack that left a young child injured and 4 dogs dead. A 20-month-old boy playing in the yard with his cousins and uncle became the target of a violent predator. The creature attempted to drag the child away, but the toddler managed to break free, suffering scratches and minor bite marks. He was treated at the hospital and later released, returning to Florida with his family. Authorities initially speculated that the assailant might be a coyote. However, the ferocity and nature of the attacks indicated something far more sinister. This wasn't an isolated incident. The Middletown community had been troubled by random, unexplained attacks on local dogs. 4 puppies were taken from McGuire's Grove apartments and found dead, further deepening the mystery. The attack on the young boy and the brutal killings of the dogs exhibit signs commonly associated with the Dogman, a predator known for its stealth and viciousness. This creature has a history of attacking both humans and animals, leaving behind a trail of fear and devastation. Local authorities were left baffled, unable to capture or identify the predator. The injuries sustained by the toddler and the deaths of the dogs were too severe to be the work of a common coyote. Witnesses described the animal as more powerful and aggressive than any known wildlife in the area. The pattern of the attacks, sudden, violent, and leaving behind minimal evidence, points strongly to the Dogman. This entity has been linked to numerous unexplained animal attacks across various regions, each incident marked by a similar brutal efficiency. The community's fear and the authorities' inability to identify the predator underscore the likelihood of the Dogman's involvement. The mystery animal's capability to attack and kill with such precision aligns with reports of Dogman encounters, making it a prime suspect in these chilling events. In October 2010, the peaceful town of Williamsburg, Missouri was shattered by the grisly death of Reverend John Reynolds. At 84, the beloved pastor was found dead in a kennel filled with 17 pit bulls, leading to a scene of horror and confusion. Given the circumstances, could the notorious Dogman be the true perpetrator behind this brutal attack? Reynolds' son, John E. Reynolds, discovered his father's body at 7:37 p.m., covered in bite marks. The initial examination revealed that some injuries were inflicted before death, while others appeared post-mortem. Lieutenant Tim Osborne of the Callaway County Sheriff's Department noted the perplexing nature of the injuries, stressing that while the scene suggested a mauling, the investigation was far from straightforward. The bizarre and violent nature of the attack bore similarities to other cases attributed to the Dogman, a cryptid known for its stealth and savagery. What deepened the mystery was the condition of the pit bulls. If they had attacked the Reverend, why were some of them also injured? This anomaly suggested an external force, potentially the Dogman, that not only overpowered Reynolds but also attacked the dogs. Despite the horrifying evidence, the authorities chose not to euthanize the dogs, citing insufficient resources to manage all 17. This decision only added to the speculation that a far more dangerous predator had been involved. John E. Reynolds was convinced of his father's dog's innocence, speculating instead about a mountain lion or stray dogs. However, a specialist from the Missouri Department of Conservation dismissed the mountain lion theory, noting inconsistencies in the bite marks. The severity and nature of the injuries seemed to align more with reported Dogman attacks, characterized by brutal and unexplained violence. This case left the community and authorities in a state of uncertainty. If not the pit bulls or a mountain lion, what else could have caused such devastation? Did the Dogman claim another victim in Reverend John Reynolds? In 2014, the Wind River Indian Reservation was rocked by the brutal death of 40-year-old Deanne Lynn Calondo Tavonis. Initially, her mutilation was blamed on a pack of wild dogs, but the true nature of her death suggests a far more terrifying predator. When first responders arrived, they found not only Tavonis's body, but also unusual footprints that defied identification. These tracks suggested a large bipedal creature, fitting the descriptions of the legendary Dogman. The coroner's report, which described injuries consistent with dog bites, was cryptic and left room for other interpretations, sparking further speculation. The case quickly attracted federal attention, with the FBI and Fish and Wildlife Services stepping in, an unusual move for a supposed dog attack. Such high-level involvement hinted at a threat far greater than mere stray dogs. Local residents had reported sightings of large, dark shapes and heard strange noises in the area before the attack, descriptions eerily consistent with Dogman encounters. Despite the compelling evidence, authorities rushed to conclude that Tavonis's death was due to a pack of dogs, even before autopsy results were fully processed. This hasty decision, along with a lack of detailed follow-up, suggested a cover-up, perhaps to prevent public panic or protect local interests. Media coverage was sparse and official reports were vague, contributing to a patchwork of incomplete public records. Political motives to downplay such attacks added to the underreporting and left many questions unanswered. The death of Deanne Lynn Calondo Tavonis, with its mysterious footprints, federal involvement, and rushed conclusions, points to the presence of a hidden predator in rural America. As more attacks emerge, the chilling reality of this threat becomes increasingly undeniable, challenging our understanding of the natural world and our place within it. In March 2015, the quiet town of Washington, Georgia, was shaken by the horrific death of 81-year-old Netta Lee Adams. Found in a ditch off Gordon Street, her brutalized body bore signs of a savage attack that left investigators and the community baffled. The involvement of the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, GBI, and rumors of FBI presence only added to the mystery, suggesting the attack was more than just an encounter with stray dogs. On that fateful morning, Wilkes County Sheriff's Office received a call about the discovery of Adams's body. GBI agent Pat Morgan quickly classified the death as suspicious, with an autopsy pending to determine the cause. The scene painted a grim picture. Broken yard furniture, scratches, blood, and torn clothing scattered on the ground indicated a fierce struggle. Local authorities initially pointed to a dog attack, but the evidence did not fully support this conclusion. Despite extensive investigations and numerous calls about loose dogs, none were conclusively linked to her death. The ferocity and nature of the injuries resembled those attributed to the Dogman, known for its brutal and inexplicable attacks. Councilman Kimberly Rainey raised pertinent questions during a city council meeting. "My issue is, how did she wind up in the ditch? What happened to her beforehand?" These questions highlighted the gaps in the official explanation. If dogs were responsible, why was there no conclusive evidence? Why did the GBI and possibly the FBI get involved if it was just a simple case of stray dogs? The absence of witnesses and the sheer violence of the attack hinted at something far more menacing. The injuries, described as more severe than typical dog bites, suggested a predator of extraordinary strength and ferocity. The Dogman, with its notorious reputation, emerged as a plausible suspect, especially given the pattern of such attacks in rural America. One more odd and unsettling thing about this case: as we were actively searching Netta Lee Adams, the website links are being disabled. Proof of her attack and even her existence is systematically being removed from the internet. On the early morning of February 15, 2019, Brenda Hamilton, a 77-year-old beloved English teacher at Pungo Christian Academy, set out on her routine morning walk in Pantego, North Carolina. What started as a peaceful day quickly turned tragic. Later that morning, she was found in a water-filled ditch, brutally mauled and left for dead by an unknown assailant. Initial reports indicated that no wild animals indigenous to the area were responsible. However, forensic testing revealed canine DNA at the scene, leading investigators to suspect a pack of dogs. Despite these suspicions, no definitive identification of the attacking animal was made. The DNA evidence pointed to two mixed-breed dogs owned by neighbors, but these dogs showed no signs of aggression or involvement when examined. The attack on Hamilton bore hallmarks of something far more sinister. Her injuries were not typical of a simple dog attack. They were severe, reminiscent of those inflicted by a larger, more powerful predator. Investigators in the community began to suspect that the Dogman, a cryptid known for its vicious attacks, might be responsible. Adding to the mystery, Hamilton's clothing and personal items were found scattered around the scene, suggesting a prolonged struggle. Despite extensive DNA testing, including samples from 14 domestic dogs in the vicinity, no conclusive evidence linked the known animals to her death. Christine Rollins, a 59-year-old caregiver, was discovered deceased outside a rural home just east of Houston, Texas. On November 24, 2019, she was found between her car and the front door of the residence, having suffered severe injuries. Initially, the authorities speculated that feral hogs were responsible for the attack. Sheriff Brian Hawthorne mentioned that despite the rarity of hog attacks, feral hogs had overtaken parts of the property where Rollins worked. However, the circumstances surrounding her death raised significant doubts about this theory. There were conflicting reports regarding the nature of the attack. The preliminary autopsy suggested that Rollins died from blood loss due to multiple bite wounds, yet there were discrepancies in the types of injuries found on her body. Portions of her leg were consumed, and her throat was reportedly removed, which led to speculation about the actual cause of death. Rollins's daughter expressed skepticism about the official explanations, noting the lack of DNA testing to conclusively identify the attacking animal. This skepticism was compounded by the fact that no feral hogs were captured, despite the sheriff's department setting traps in the area. Interestingly, the case had peculiar similarities to other mysterious animal attacks often attributed to the Dogman. The presence of different-sized bite marks, blunt force trauma to the head, and the removal of the throat suggest an attack more consistent with the Dogman's known behavior patterns, rather than feral hogs or stray dogs. Neighbors reported no unusual noises, barking or growling, which would be expected in a typical animal attack involving hogs or dogs. This silence during such a violent incident aligns with the predatory tactics often associated with the Dogman, known for its ability to kill swiftly and silently. In 2020, the tragic death of 13-year-old Corey Joseph Godsey in Emelina, Kentucky, sparked significant controversy and questions about what truly caused his death. Initially reported as a fatal animal attack, the specifics surrounding his demise suggest a far more sinister predator than just a pack of wild dogs. On February 19, 2020, emergency responders were called to a residence after reports of a possible animal attack on a child. Upon arrival, they discovered Corey's lifeless body on a mountainside behind his home, marked by severe and fatal wounds. Initial assessments by the Knott County coroner indicated injuries consistent with an animal attack, but the exact nature of the responsible animal remained undetermined. Despite Kentucky State Police's determination that Corey was killed by wild dogs, several perplexing details raised doubts. Wildlife cameras and equipment led authorities to multiple dogs at a nearby mine site, with DNA evidence linking these dogs to the attack. However, the level of devastation and the circumstances of the attack suggested a more powerful and intelligent predator than local wildlife. The injuries Corey sustained were extraordinarily severe, not typical of normal dog attacks. His clothes were torn off, a characteristic often noted in attacks attributed to the Dogman, a cryptid known for its brutal predation patterns. Furthermore, the manner of the attack, swift, deadly, and occurring in a rural, wooded area, bears the hallmarks of Dogman encounters reported in other parts of the country. The FBI's involvement in this case, despite being a local jurisdiction, further underscores the unusual nature of the incident. The prompt federal response suggests that authorities might have suspected something beyond a simple animal attack. Adding to the mystery, no specific breed of the attacking dogs was identified, and there was no history of such aggressive behavior from local strays. The theory of the Dogman gains traction when considering these unexplained elements and the sheer ferocity of the attack on a young, healthy boy. In the rural expanse of Coca County, Tennessee, a series of brutal and unexplained deaths has plunged the community into a state of fear and confusion. The first victim, 52-year-old Tony Aarons, was discovered on April 1, 2022, his body savagely mauled near Jimtown Road. Despite extensive injuries, authorities were at a loss to identify the animal responsible. The terror intensified on July 12, 2022, when 29-year-old Amber Miller fell victim to a similar attack in the same area. The extent of Miller's injuries was horrific. According to the autopsy report obtained by WBIR, her left upper extremity was amputated, and approximately 42% of her skin was gone. Despite the severity of these wounds, the manner of death was bizarrely ruled an accident. Miller's great-aunt, Regina Josephek, described the wounds as innumerable, with Miller's arms nearly severed from her body. Doctors at UT Medical Center fought desperately to save her life, but the injuries proved too severe. In a reprehensible display of character assassination, initial reports on Miller's attack focused on a toxicology report showing the presence of amphetamine, methamphetamine, and fentanyl in her system. This egregious attempt to smear the victim's character and potentially dismiss the attack is not only unethical but also diverts attention from the crucial unexplained aspects of the case. Contrary to initial reports, the sheriff's department found no evidence linking dogs to either attack. DNA and fecal tests on apprehended canines, including those belonging to a man named Charles Owenby, all returned negative results. This crucial detail effectively ruled out the official explanation of a vicious dog attack provided by the Knox County Regional Forensic Center. Adding to the mystery, wildlife investigators discovered 2 footprints larger than any recorded canine prints, suggesting a bipedal creature. This finding aligns disturbingly well with descriptions of the legendary Dogman. The FBI's involvement in the case and the arrest of Charles Owenby raised hopes for answers, but ultimately led nowhere. Both cases remain open, with authorities admitting they cannot identify the type of animal involved. Notably, the attacks occurred in areas of low visibility. Miller's attack in particular happened during a waning crescent moon with only 10% illumination, conditions that would favor a predator with superior night vision. The similarities between the Aarons and Miller cases, the location, the severity of injuries, and the lack of identifiable culprit point to a deliberate pattern. The brutality and precision of the attacks, combined with the eerie silence surrounding the incidents, suggest a predator far more dangerous than any known wildlife. Amber Miller's family refuses to accept the simplistic explanation of a dog attack. They, along with many in the community, believe something far more sinister is at work. The absence of clear answers and the apparent reluctance of officials to provide further comments have only fueled suspicions of a potential cover-up. These chilling incidents force us to question what really lurks in the shadows of rural Tennessee. Why are authorities seemingly unable or unwilling to provide answers? And perhaps most disturbingly, Why is there an apparent effort to discredit the victims rather than focus on the inexplicable nature of these attacks? In 2024, the serene surroundings of the Fort Hall Reservation in Idaho were shattered by the brutal death of 19-year-old Carlon de la Cruz. Found lifeless, his body bore the horrific signs of an animal attack. Authorities initially attributed his death to a pack of dogs, but the involvement of the FBI hinted at something far more disturbing. Carlon was discovered with severe injuries consistent with dog bites, his body ravaged in a manner that left even seasoned investigators unsettled. The Fort Hall Police Department, typically handling local incidents, found themselves working alongside the FBI, raising questions about the true nature of the attack. The FBI's lead role suggested complexities beyond a mere dog attack, involving possible elements that demanded federal attention. The specifics of Carlon's injuries mirrored other mysterious cases: deep, savage wounds, torn clothing, and a scene of intense violence. Yet no witnesses came forward and no dogs were conclusively linked to the attack, much like in previous cases suspected to involve the Dogman. The FBI's swift and extensive involvement conducting DNA tests and scouring the area added layers to the enigma, suggesting they were investigating more than a simple animal mauling. This case joined a series of similar unexplained incidents across rural America, where victims were found brutally attacked under suspicious circumstances. The patterns were eerily consistent: isolated locations, severe mutilations, and a disturbing lack of concrete evidence pointing to the known predators. Carlon's tragic death, set against the backdrop of the Fort Hall Reservation, highlighted the growing concern over such inexplicable attacks. The FBI's presence underscored the gravity and potential complexity of the situation, hinting at an ongoing issue far more sinister than wild dog attacks. With federal authorities deeply involved, the community was left questioning what kind of predator could elicit such a response. Our contact, Henry, has provided us with a chilling revelation that brings the Dogman threat into sharp focus. In 2002, deep within the secluded woods of Illinois, he captured a haunting image at an isolated cemetery. A Dogman, unmistakable and menacing, its eyes fixed on Henry with predatory intent. But the photograph was just the beginning. Adjacent to the cemetery, a vast desolate expanse Henry chillingly refers to as the Boneyard stretches into the distance. This macabre field, littered with the skeletal remains of deer and other creatures, hides a far more sinister truth. Scattered among the animal bones, human remains may lie hidden, silent testament to the Dogman's reign of terror. These killing fields serve as grim markers of the Dogman's territorial claims, guarded with a ferocity that chills the blood. The implications are staggering, casting a disturbing new light on the countless missing 411 cases that plague our country. How many of these vanishings are not merely disappearances, but the gruesome handiwork of these apex predators, their victims' remains obscured amidst the bones of their animal prey? This is no longer speculation. These creatures aren't just roaming our wilderness, they're establishing dominion, systematically hunting humans as a food source. The Boneyards stand as silent sentinels, grim testament to their lethal efficiency and the horrifying scale of unreported human casualties. This revelation is the key to understanding the escalating wave of terror sweeping across the nation. 10 brutal attacks, 10 shattered lives, one terrifying reality: the Dogman is real, and it's not just hunting us, it's winning. From Wyoming's plains to Kentucky's forests, we've uncovered a pattern of violence that defies explanation. Victims mauled beyond recognition, federal agents swooping in with alarming speed, local authorities fumbling for answers that don't add up. The evidence is mounting: unnatural silence during attacks, wounds inflicted with surgical precision, an eerie intelligence guiding the carnage. This is no ordinary predator, it's something far deadlier. But what exactly are we facing? Escaped military experiments, an evolutionary leap, or something even darker? One thing's clear: dismissing these as animal attacks isn't just wrong, it's dangerous. The victims and their families deserve the truth, not cover-ups and half-baked explanations. For anyone venturing into the wild or even living on its edge, consider this your wake-up call. We may no longer be the apex predator we thought we were. The hunt for answers goes on, and the stakes are life and death. Is the Dogman real? If so, what does that mean for humanity? To the victims of these tragedies and their families, you are in our thoughts and prayers.
In the shadows of the digital night, we've wandered far and seen sunsets, from haunting tales